First, if you're a fan of Shelby Church, no offense, you're not going to want to watch this video. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings specifically. This is meant to be an educational video, and Shelby Church called me a scam. And even though I'm not particularly offended, it provides a great opportunity for me to do an educational video on what she doesn't understand about Airbnb. And that's okay. It's not her job to understand Airbnb. Let's play what she said and naturally, of course, get into my response and the education that follows. If you don't understand a lot about Airbnb, this is a cool opportunity for you. Let's go.
He is still often promoting doing Airbnb, probably, I think because he has a course that he sells for like $500 on how to do Airbnb. So there is some incentive there to promote Airbnb, to get people to want to do it. But his calendars look pretty empty, and he's even talked about that in some more recent videos.
I went through a bunch of his listings, and there is like almost no bookings at all for many of these properties. And almost all of them are priced under $100 a night. I don't know how he could possibly not be losing money, honestly.
I would keep that in mind when you're watching some of these other YouTubers who are really promoting it.
Welcome back, YouTube world. My name's Sean Rakijic. Hopefully you know that, because if you don't know that, this is not a video for you. This is really meant for my subscriber base, and it's meant to be educational. It's not meant to be some argument between two YouTubers. I think at the very heart of this point is that we are two completely different YouTubers, and that's okay. And that's what's led to this unique opportunity. I think disagreements are great for growth. It's where we can like sharpen our knives and learn what's right, what's wrong, what works, what doesn't. I will first confess that Shelby said that my calendars are empty. And from what she showed, yes, that's absolutely true. What she showed you is true. I have very few bookings in the future. In my world, that's okay, and I'm going to explain why. And let's first forgive her for thinking that that's a bad thing, because Shelby has one property, and Shelby has one property that is at a price point that's over $500 a night. It's a multi-bedroom destination property in Palm Springs. And in this industry, there are certain properties that better be booked months in advance. If you have an expensive listing, and hers is not expensive by any measure, but a place like Palm Springs, people are prepared to spend money, so people are shopping in Palm Springs in advance for their destination property. This is normal. She should have her calendar booked 2, 3, 4, 5 months in advance. This is absolutely normal. The video I did about Queen's Landing, property that I've been co-hosting a long time, bookings 8 months in advance because of the price point and property size and the fact that it can be used as a destination property. This is important. But in my world, studio apartments, 1 bedrooms, inner city, urban, price points under $150 a night, mostly, then yeah, we get a lot more last minute travelers because the group sizes are smaller, people are spending less money, it's more discretionary. The reason why I might be hurting some feelings and potentially destroying what is otherwise a mostly innocent person in this video, what she said is that I'm making content promoting Airbnb pretty much against my integrity because I could sell courses, and that I'm going to be a loyalist to Airbnb short-term rentals because of that, because I hope to sell courses. Now, for those of you that know me, I don't even have to explain this. I've been teaching for free for 6 years, and there are plenty of times where I've said, yes, Airbnb is great. But if you've noticed in my content, there's a trend. When COVID hit and the last couple of months, I've been doing videos for current hosts, people who are stuck in a shit position, pardon my French, but during COVID, I was doing videos for people stuck in COVID when everything got canceled. Airbnb took our money. And Airbnb bust, winter season, I'm doing videos on how to update your calendar, redo your pricing, listing differentiation, how to get out of the storm that we're in. You're not seeing like, hey guys, look at all my millions, jump into Airbnb videos. Obviously, I'm not doing that. If Shelby actually paid attention to my content, she'd see the trend. I have done, yay, Airbnb videos when the beginning was good. I'm doing, hey, you're a host, we got to get through this together videos right now, which leads me to one of my largest counter critiques. 6 months ago to the day, I did a video for Airbnb owners and I had a stark warning about something to come. First, one of my counter critiques to Shelby, the reason why she doesn't know anything about Airbnb is because she has a co-host. And if you have a co-host, you're not going to learn about this industry because you rely on somebody else to be the expert. And I said something about co-hosts 6 months ago. Let's run that.
Now, using a co-host is one of the worst things that you can do as an investor because they're chopping 20 to 30% of your top line revenue away. Now, if you think about it like this, you have a certain amount of risk in your deal, and there's a certain amount of total revenue and a certain amount of total profit that you can make. Now, if you had somebody who worked for you that was running your properties and you paid them a salary or paid them by the hour, your operating costs would be much lower than if you paid a percentage of your revenue. So you could have somebody who knows what they're doing work with you or for you for a lower rate than you pay these co-hosts.
And now, if any of you who own properties were listening, you're starting to see the fact that there's not enough money to be made, that anybody who has 20% of fat in their deal can't lower their prices enough to be competitive where it matters. Now, it's possible that people are booking last minute in Palm Springs at full rate, but the problem is just like the stock market, when people are afraid, when sellers are afraid too, there will be some people who lower their prices. Now, the truth of that is there are good properties in the market with a lower price right now. They just do exist because of the sentiment, which means you could have a good property too, but if your good property costs more than theirs, somebody's gonna book theirs. Even though your property is good enough for $500 a night, there's a property that's a $700 a night property going for $375. That one will get booked at $375 and you won't get a booking. There should be no ego in that argument. There should be no ego in the math. That's just the math. We've talked about my future calendar being empty. It's true, but what I'm about to show you is gonna surprise you. So first, before we get into my actual calendar, let me show you another snippet of something I said 6 months ago.
Now, what we're seeing in the market right now is a lack of consumer confidence, meaning that families aren't spending money as liberally because they are afraid of inflation and a coming recession. So they're being more discretionary with their money. Now, they still have vacation days. They still want to make memories with their family. They still want to travel. If they can afford to, they will. Now, it's quite possible that people will just book more last minute because of uncertainty. It's not a lack of money, it's just increased uncertainty. And those economics mean that people will book more last minute travel, more last minute accommodations. You might still get booked at the rate that you like. But in the case that people just don't have as much money available, or they're choosing to save more money out of fear of a recession, you could still get booked, just at a lower price.
Now, as you'll see, because I said sentiment is causing people to be scared, people won't be spending as much money, you're gonna have to get dynamic with your price. You're gonna have to change your prices, you're gonna have to meet the market where it is. Now let's look at my actual calendar, because there's a distinction here. There's two parts of a calendar. There's your future calendar, and there's your past calendar. Now, I will also just confess, this past calendar looks like trash to me. I hate how many open days we actually have on this past calendar. The winter release and the bust has actually affected our occupancy, driving it into the upper 70%. I don't like that. We should be like 89 to 92% full, and we're stuck in the 70s. I don't like that at all. But many of you are suffering from 0 to 20% occupancy. Shelby Church is suffering from like 0-ish% occupancy. That is because people are not willing to meet the market where they're supposed to meet the market. Now, the reason why Shelby might be talking like this is because she is failing, right? But she's not alone, is she? There are hundreds of thousands of hosts on this planet, and many of them are failing because a lot of people did get into the space. There's a lot of excess inventory because people don't want to sell the homes that they have. They want to buy another one to grow their wealth, but they don't want to sell right now because of sentiment again. So they're like, hey, let's put it on Airbnb with a co-host and try to make some money. What that does to the market is it oversupplies the market. But here's the thing, the market is oversupplied with more of the same. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a problem necessarily, and the reason why we're still getting bookings is we're doing things right that other people aren't doing right. I just hosted a webinar on the 5th of January about the algorithm change and how people can get back on the first page of the algorithm, and the testimonials are great. People are like, this is actually working. And I even had a testimonial from somebody who watched that 4 owners video I just showed you. They had a testimonial that said, hey Sean, I fired my co-host and we've been over 90% occupied ever since. Thank you for waking me up, essentially is how that testimonial went. Now, Shelby's not supposed to know how to Airbnb, and this is okay. The reason why Shelby's a personality channel, I don't have any personality. I'm a facts guy. I teach how to do Airbnb. I'm a niche channel, and I teach the facts on how to run an Airbnb business. I have over 150 properties. I've been doing this like 8 years. I've been teaching it for 6. And I've been through almost every scenario that an Airbnb host could be involved in. Airbnb really only got popular in 2011. It was Easy Street until 2017. So all of the hard stuff, I've been there. My only real complaint is that she didn't check with me about why my future calendar was empty. She knows so little about Airbnb, she didn't know that there might be a reason to check. You know what I mean? When somebody knows so little about a topic, they will draw a false assumption off of false confidence. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And it made sense enough to her to draw another false conclusion, which is that I care about the money from course sales. But a lot of you who know me know I don't run paid ads, and you haven't seen a sponsored by in any of my videos, have you? This has not been sponsored by Squarespace. It hasn't been sponsored by Monday. It hasn't been sponsored by anybody else that a YouTube creator typically would sponsor.
I'm gonna start by telling you guys exactly how much we made in the first year. But first, I wanna thank Dell for sponsoring this video.
Which Shelby constantly does because that's how she makes her money as an influencer. So she would only assume that an educator like me would do the same stuff that influencers do. But I do have this integrity barrier where if I run content ads to try to sell you something and the ads don't work, I know that there will be a challenge of integrity there, because if I'm losing money on Facebook ads or something, I might need to make a change to stop losing money because people don't give up on stuff. So I don't want to start running ads. lose money on some ad campaign, and then do some grungy, pushy thing to sell a course. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to teach you guys something, and I'm happy with the organic results I get from my course content. And because I'm so good at this, because I am the best in the world at this, it would be stupid of me not to sell a course, not to sell course products, not to sell education products. So they're out there because I am the best at what I do and I deserve to get paid for it. If any of you disagree, then yeah, put it in the comments. Let's talk about how I'm not worth getting paid for my expertise. I'm okay with your criticism. Let's hear it. And so further, because she's not a niche YouTube channel, doing high-level videos about the pricing strategy that I teach, or about Airbnb's algorithm, or about the effects of a cancellation policy on your SEO, or the effects of your hero photo on SEO, all these little details that I teach won't serve her audience. She's got 1.8 million people who just want to hear her talk about all the sorts of cool stuff she can talk about. And she's a way cool person. She should do her videos based on interest and entertainment. She could be lightly educational, but if she goes too deep, she's going to lose her people. The reason why you guys watch me is because I'm going to get to the very nitty-gritty stuff. Just do it! And thus my audience looks completely different than her audience. And that's why, again, if you're a Shelby Church fan, you shouldn't be watching this video. You have no reason to be on this channel unless you just happen to cross inside of our very thinly overlapping Venn diagram. And one other interesting thing about Palm Springs, I'm going to give you another nugget here because I gave her this free advice too. Since Palm Springs has a 36 contract per year limit, you can't have a lot of Airbnb bookings. And for this reason, you must get booked a month in advance, because last minute bookings tend to be shorter and cheaper. So if you don't want any shorter, cheaper last minute bookings, you need to make sure that you're priced right for a lead time of 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks. And so I told her, if you have occupancy that's open 2 weeks from now, if you've got this window of time that's unbooked, that should not get booked anyway under your current scenario. So use a rule set and turn those days into a coupon. Use a rule set that says if you book 3 weeks or 4 weeks, any of these days that fit into that 3 weeks or 4 weeks, give them 80% off those days. So what'll happen is you'll have a booking for like a month where you get 3 of those weeks at a full rate, but then the first week, because it was so last minute, they get this insane deal on the first week. That makes you conditionally price competitive in a very rare scenario where you get that one booking that would have mattered most. Now, what she also doesn't understand is if she got that booking, that last minute booking that overlaps into far future, her algorithm placement would go up. And maybe for good reason, she didn't watch my re-algorithm webinar because she has a co-host, and her co-host should have watched it. But any future bookings that you have will drive up your ranking on Airbnb because it's one of their many interest metrics. Having bookings is a metric of interest. It means people like your place enough to book it. So not only do bigger destination properties require a farther lead time, right, for full bookings because bigger groups plan further in advance, but in this case, hers needed an even farther lead time because she can't be doing short last minute bookings. Where in my world, that whole future calendar can be empty. I could be empty tomorrow and find a way to make it work. Happens all the time. But when you look at my trailing calendar, I'm over 70% occupied. At the worst of my career, I'm over 70% occupied. Way cool. Now I've been split testing stuff too because innovation drives the market. And I've been doing, at great expense to my calendar, changes to see what works and what doesn't. So with some of my empty calendar, I can tell you I've learned a lot that's allowing myself in my properties to hit 100% occupancy again, and my students to hit 100% occupancy. It's working. The testimonials show it. And on the 18th, I'm doing a webinar, and if you watch this after the 18th, that's okay. There will be a recording available where I'm going to teach my newest pricing strategy that uses a $0 cleaning fee because Airbnb just made a change where they want everybody to stop putting fees in their listings. Airbnb is noticing that there's this bounce effect when the fees get too high in a booking, and it's causing people to just cancel. Not having a cleaning fee means that you can get to 100% occupancy again when you might have an empty calendar right now. So if you're on time, attend my target price webinar, and if you're late, just get the recording. That'll change your life. There are a few things that will increase your bookings right now. Changing out your hero photo, changing out your title, filling out all the possible check boxes and text boxes, turning on smart price conditionally, which I talk about re-algorithm, and switching to a $0 cleaning fee. These are all going to be super powerful things that you can do. Most of my content is free. I am the best in the world at this, and I want you to know that, so most of my content is free. Most of my educational content is for current hosts that have hit a size where they need some extra help. And I know when somebody's making money in this industry because they got in for free on my content, then there can be a mutual exchange based on trust. And further, like I said, during COVID, and all the content now is geared towards current hosts for free to help people stay in business because they deserve that kind of help. I'm not just going to sit here and speculate from the outside on somebody's world. I'm not going to tell you why I think Shelby makes content. I don't really have any place to speculate on her content strategy. but Airbnb is a big enough keyword that maybe she's touching on it right now. That's probably it. Now, in exchange for the free advice that I gave her, I asked nothing in return. Now, I do believe that she probably didn't heed that advice because even her co-host isn't smart enough to apply the stuff that I gave her. And there's no offense to her. It's not her job to know this industry, but it is shame on her co-host for not understanding game theory. Her co-host should be watching my channel. And if you want to be an Airbnb host who's successful and not go out of business, you should also be watching my channel. So thank you for being here. You're doing the right thing. I'm going to keep my door open to Shelby if she ever wants actual coaching to understand how this industry actually works. I know that one day if she wants to have 100 Airbnb properties, she's going to find my content and treat it with a sense of respect instead of a sense of skepticism. I know that she's an influencer and there's a lot of bad people out there, but she ran into an educator. Your educator. I'm happy to be here and happy to help. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I'll see you on the other side.